with the changes in ways we communicate, Life Point, when is the last time you actually wrote a letter? Not type, not Christmas cards, but handwritten letter. It's been a while, right? As we are reading through the New Testament, did you know that out of 27, 21 books are actual letters? And out of 21, 13 are called Pauline epistles, when Apostle Paul wrote those letters. So when you read the letters, it has that format where it has the recipient and it has a greeting, and oftentimes it has thanksgiving and prayer for the recipients, and then there's main content and ends with maybe another prayer and farewell. And as you read, pay attention to this, where now the first half of the letter, let's say it has 6 chapters, so chapters 1 to 3, it's about teaching and doctrine. And then second half, it's about application of those teachings and doctrines. So look for those as you read. So starting today, we're going into a section of those letters called the prison epistles. So we believe that Paul wrote them around 62 AD. Now, we just read the book of Acts, and we know that Paul was on missionary journeys. So after the third one, when he came back to Jerusalem, he gets arrested. And leaders like Felix and then his successor, Festus, they didn't know what to do with Paul. And as they were waiting and as they were trying to think of what they were going to do with him, Paul says, I'm going to appeal to Caesar. I'm a Roman citizen. I'm going to appeal to Caesar. So they decided, all right, I need you, or we need you to go to Rome. So they let Paul sail to Rome. And when Paul arrives in Rome, until he got to see Caesar, or when decision was made upon him, he was under a house arrest. So that's around 62 AD, and that's when he wrote these 4 letters in the New Testament. 3 of them are written to churches that we believe that he established during his second missionary journey, and one of them is written to a person. So now let's take a look at the first one, the book of Ephesians. It has 6 chapters. Once again, it's divided in half. Chapters 1, 2, 3 have teachings and doctrines, very important teachings, and then chapters 4, 5, 6 have applications. And the next one is the book of Philippians. And I think book of Philippians is very familiar, as it is the most joyful book ever that we see. And Paul talks about joy, rejoice. But as you read that book, see if you can count how many times Paul uses the word joy, rejoice, as to suffering and its synonym. So see how many times the word are used. All right, see if you can find that. And then the next one is the book of Colossians. The book of Colossians addresses the heresy that was within the church members. So Paul talks about the deity of Christ, how Christ is still God. All right, so look for that in the letter to Colossians. And the last one, Philemon, you can read it today or tomorrow. It's just one chapter, or someone says it. Paul could have written that letter in the back of an envelope. It's really short. But it's written to a person, Philemon, pleading to forgive his slave. So read that letter or epistle thinking about forgiveness, personal forgiveness. Now, so as I continue, I think out of those 4 books, book of Colossians gets read the least. So I'm going to read a chunk of verses from the book of Colossians, chapter 1, verses 15 to 20. It talks about, like I said, the deity of Christ. And he says this: He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions, or rulers or authorities. All things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in everything he might be preeminent. For in him all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether on earth or in heaven, making peace by the blood of his cross. All right, Life Point, we are continuing to read. And maybe today, as it is Saturday, maybe take time to write a letter like this.